Hey there, before I started today's podcast, I just wanted to come on here and let you guys know how hard I've been working on my podcast. I started this podcast with the desire to share a message about life, growth, and transition as we age, and wanted to celebrate the fact that I'm headed into my 50th year. I had a lot of desire, but no technical skill whatsoever. I have used my network. I have relied on them. I am so in debt to them for all of the guidance, suggestions, feedback, recommendations that they have given me in order for me to be able to put on this podcast for you twice a month. I've got myself a new microphone. Thanks, Dominique, for the recommendation, and a screen and headphones. So now I'm official. What I'd love from you in order to help me continue to improve is some feedback on what you've noticed while listening to the podcast, what you like, what you don't like, what you've noticed in terms of improvement, and any suggestions that you may have about how I can make the podcast better. Thank you so much for taking the time out to listen, and I'm going to continue to work hard to put out content that is not only interesting and introspective, but funny, warm, engaging, uplifting, and inspiring. Welcome back to the Table for One podcast, and I'm your host, Jerisha. Today's topic is one that I struggled to figure out how I wanted to get out to you. I initially started with it being a topic-driven episode where I was going to talk to you about the psychology behind the topic. And then I realized that I wasn't being genuine or authentic because I am someone who is struggling with this very topic myself, even right now. So I took a long look at myself and I asked myself, what's the purpose of this podcast? Is it to just tell other people what to do, or to share with folks and normalize for people that we all struggle with a lot of the same struggles? And no matter what age we are, whether we're 21 or almost 50, these things can still be struggles. So I came back on, and today's topic is going to be about the friend zone. Before we get started, let me share with you a personal story. I preferred keep blissfully unaware of the dating world, but my group of friends, they couldn't stop thinking, talking, dreaming about boys. So whenever we were together, it was like they were plotting on who to pounce on next. I watched as they approached guys one after another, only to crash and burn with rejection. I thought to myself, ooh, that's never gonna be me. But life had a surprise in store. One morning, I woke up to find that guy who had been tormenting me on the bus for months suddenly had a certain glow about him. It was as if he had transformed overnight with the new sheen to his hair and smile. He was even smelling good. And there it was, the infamous rumbling in my stomach. Was it the oatmeal I had for breakfast? Or was it the elusive butterflies? Before I knew it, I found myself succumbing to the environment around me. My friends started hyping me up, urging me to throw myself on the proverbial sword and make a move. But here's the thing that set me apart from my friends. In my mind, I was just regular. I had glasses. My mom did my hair. I was towering over others because I was considered tall at the time. I had retainers. I had acne battles. I was the epitome of the ugly duckling. But I did have one advantage. I was a nice person. I was approachable, funny, easy to talk to. I made people feel comfortable. I was safe. So I embarked on my journey deep into the friend zone and have throughout my life been hoping to escape its clutches and land on the other side. So let's talk a little bit about what the friend zone is. For most, the friend zone is that dreaded place where romantic feelings are not reciprocated and a friendship remains unrequited. It's often portrayed as a one-way street where one person desires something more while the other person only sees them as a friend. But is it really that simple? I came across a great article on medium.com called The Psychological Reasons Why It's Hard to Escape the Friend Zone. And in the article, it explains that being friend zoned usually leads to a really unequal friendship and that it can be emotionally challenging if you're the person with the unrequited feelings. The article highlighted several key points. The first one is this concept of perceived value. When someone places you in the friend zone, they may see you as a valuable friend, but fail to recognize your romantic potential. This perception can be difficult to change because the person has already formulated a mental image or schema of you as a friend, and they resist seeing you differently. Let me tell you about my time in the friend zone. There were so many times when, and I'm going to date myself because our preferred way of communicating back when I was in school was passing notes. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have social media. We didn't have DMs that we could slide into. So we would put it in the person we were interested's locker, or we would give it to our friend who would pass it to their friend who would pass it to them. And in the note, we would ask questions like, do you have a girlfriend? Do you like me? Would you like to give me your phone number? Would you like to be my boyfriend? And we were hoping for the affirmative answer, but a lot of times the negative came. And for me, I would say I had a disproportionate amount of the negative response, but not negative like, oh my God, get away from me. How dare you even think that? But more so like, I don't think of you like that. You're my friend. You're my homie. I mean, we're cool. I don't look at you that way. I began to get into a place where I internalized that feedback and began to question, well, what was wrong with me? Why wouldn't you see me as something other than a friend? Why wouldn't you consider me someone that you'd want to exchange telephone numbers with, or could see yourself going out with, or could see as your girlfriend? I began to compare myself to my girlfriends and began to feel like I was less than. I wasn't as pretty. I wasn't as good with my flirtation. I didn't dress as well. My hair wasn't as straight. My teeth weren't as straight. My skin wasn't as light. This got me in a really tough space where I began to really be down on myself as a person. And even the fact that I had great interpersonal skills and qualities couldn't overshadow the fact that I physically felt like I didn't belong. So get back in the books. Get back to focusing on being a great friend and to stay where you felt safe and where you felt comfortable. And that's what it was like for me in high school, in college. Another aspect that the article discussed is this issue of unbalanced investment. When you're in the friend zone, it's common for one person to have stronger feelings and invest more emotionally in the relationship. The disparity can create a power dynamic where the person who is in control may be reluctant to give up their position of emotional security, while the other person yearns for a more romantic connection. So this is probably more of a situation where the object of your affection knows that they're the object of your affection, and they like that power differential that's happening in the relationship. Yet they still want to keep the connection, keep the friendship, knowing that you want more. The article also talks about fear of rejection, and that is a whole podcast episode on its own. But this is a significant factor in terms of staying in the friend zone. When someone has been friend zoned, they may fear expressing their true feelings because of the potential for rejection and the subsequent impact it could have on the existing friendship. This fear can keep individuals stuck in the friend zone, unable to take the necessary steps to change the dynamics of the relationship. On the few occasions where I would actually get up the nerve to let my crush know that I actually liked them for more than a friend and wanted to see if the relationship could change to more than a friendship, I would be met with a rejection. I would be met with the usual, oh, I don't see you like that. We're cool as friends. I don't like you like that. I actually like somebody else. I actually like one of your girls. Can you hook me up? And so I would play it off. Because who likes rejection? Who likes sitting there like a deer caught in headlights as your heart is crumbling into 1,000 pieces, trying to hold it together and not cry? So I would play it off and I would say, oh, the other day when I called and told you that, yeah, don't pay any attention to that. I was smoking meth that day. Ha, ha, ha. Laugh it off. We're good. We're cool. I would stay the homie. I would even work extra hard to hook him up with someone else to show, hey, no hard feelings. I masked what I was really feeling. I invalidated my own feelings. I told myself that what you're feeling isn't correct. It isn't good enough. There's no place for this. There's no place for your feelings in this situation. So be happy with what you've got. Be happy with just having this friendship and go on about your business. That was the internal dialogue that was happening for me. Another highlight from the article is talking about the issue of timing. Oftentimes when somebody's in the friend zone, it's because the timing isn't right for a romantic relationship. The person might already be involved with somebody else, or they're not really looking for romance. Sometimes just being patient and being open with your communication can help you navigate yourself to a better timing situation to perhaps come out of the friend zone and step into something else with the object of your affection. It's crucial for individuals in the friend zone to really assess their own needs and desires. Sometimes accepting the friendship as it is and finding fulfillment elsewhere can lead to personal growth and happiness. And that is something that has probably been what I have learned over time with age and experience. Do I still get crushes on people? Absolutely. I actually have one right now. That's a whole nother podcast episode. But I also really enjoy the friendships that I have with people. The friendships that I have with individuals are so precious to me. They provide me with such joy, comfort, fun, laughs, heartfelt conversations. I just love my friends. So when I think about the crushes that I have on people, one of the things that I've taught myself is to wait a minute, not to be impulsive, not to pass the note. Do you like me? Check the box. But to just sit and wait and to really evaluate, are the feelings that I'm having really true feelings for this individual? Or have we just been spending a lot of time together? Or have I been listening to somebody else talk about them and now I've kind of started doing some thinking about them in a deeper way? Or am I watching how they are with someone else in a relationship and I am admiring what I'm seeing and hopefully wanting some of those qualities in someone that I find in the future? So I try to sit back for a little bit just to determine, are these real feelings or are they some fabricated or exaggerated or misperceived feelings before I go run and embarrass myself? Now, if I feel like the feelings are genuine, then I will reach out to a trusted advisor and I will run down what I've been feeling, why I've been feeling this way, what signs I might have seen from the other individual to make me feel like this is good timing to perhaps make a move. Because again, I know that I can be impulsive. I know that I can misperceive things. And I want to make sure that what I am taking in as interaction, as communication, is seen not only by myself, but by somebody else looking from the outside as true interest. Because again, the relationship really means a lot to me, and I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to make it weird. I don't want to make it awkward if there's nothing there. With the help of a trusted advisor, if they're seeing what I'm seeing, then I have to think about how do I want to go about changing the dynamic in the relationship. And this can be done a whole lot of ways for me. As I venture out of the friend zone and began to crawl out of the cave and let the sunlight of possibility shine on my face. So I decided that I plan to hold off on talking more about having a crush and the steps that you need to take in order to work your way out of the friend zone and cross the bridge from friend zone ship to relationship. I think I wanted to reflect more on one of the points that the article brought out about self-worth and personal value. As I reflect on my time in the friend zone, or part of the reason why at times I still revisit the friend zone, it hasn't really been because of other people placing me in the friend zone. I don't think people have intentionally meant to harm me or be mean to me or to reject me by telling me that they would prefer to have me as a friend. I think it actually is maybe even a compliment where folks are basically sharing with me that they value my friendship, that I make them comfortable and they feel safe and secure, and that our friendship is important and they wouldn't want a dalliance in the land of romance to affect that relationship. And I'm learning to accept that. And I'm learning to appreciate that and to be thankful and grateful for friendships that I have in my life. I think my time and space in the friend zone has often felt like self-exile because I've put myself there and kept myself there. For a really long time, I didn't feel like I measured up to whatever was in my head about the standard of beauty, the standard of desirability. I was using what I saw on television, what I saw in media, what I saw in movies, what I saw in my community in terms of what the definition of beauty and desirability was. And I didn't look like that. And though I tried to get my mane of curls to look like the hairstyles that I admired from those that I saw around me, I tried to fit my body into those clothes that were made for other ethnicities, not mine. I tried to fix my face and wear makeup to actually decrease the size of my lips, my nose, contour, contour, contour. I didn't accept the beauty that came with being who I was, and I tried to change it into a very unattainable standard of beauty that I felt was more desirable. I was making a lot of assumptions. I was making assumptions that the people that I was interested in wanted that standard. I was making assumptions that I wasn't someone who would be desired by others. I was making assumptions about what their standards were in the first place. Doing so kept me relegated to the friend zone. It wasn't until probably midway through college and after my college years that I began to grow in the space of accepting myself. I came to the realization that this world was going to get the body it was going to get. I came to the realization that I looked the way that I looked and that I might as well embrace it instead of being resistant and fighting against it. I learned how to enhance what I had. I learned how to dress in a way that I felt complemented my shape. I learned how to apply makeup and do my hair in ways that I felt were becoming. I began to feel more confident in my package. What was on the inside was now growing in a more congruent way with what was showing on the outside. And as my confidence grew, I noticed that I became less and less and less bothered or concerned by an individual's response to my romantic attraction. If somebody didn't feel me the way that I was feeling them, it became more an issue of they've got preferences just like I do, and maybe I wasn't their preference. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and not everybody is mine. And I became more accepting of that space, and it became less internalized. It became less about what I was missing. I wasn't good enough. There was something wrong with me. And it became more, hey, it's a 50-50 chance. Some shots you win, some shots you don't. And I was okay with that. Again, becoming more and more confident in myself. I was enhancing myself for my own satisfaction and realizing that what was inside was truly the gift, and that anything I did to the package on the outside was just enhancing that gift. That made me feel more comfortable. It made me not focus as much on being in the friend zone. It made me be more accepting of myself. What I decided to do in terms of individuals that I did have crushes on, I'd take a chance. Some of those people, I would actually let them know how I felt. And I'm not even going to lie on this podcast. I don't think it ever really worked in my favor. I stayed in the friend zone. However, rather than considering that a negative, I took that as a compliment to me and how I showed up for people as a friend. And what I did was, rather than just internalize those qualities about people that I liked or was attracted to, I started to share that with the people in my life. I started to share with them why they were special to me, why they were someone that I was attracted to and wanted to take it to the next level. I started to be thankful verbally to people about being in my life and showing gratitude for the people that they were and how they showed up for me. So to wrap up this podcast, which I feel like kind of got a little around the mulberry bush, but made it back to the point finally, is to really just conclude that escaping the friend zone can be really complex and it can be a really challenging process. We talked about some of the factors that get us in the friend zone, from perceived value, unbalanced investment, fear of rejection, timing, and boundaries. Those things can all play a role in a dynamic that may imbalance a friendship and cause a person to spend more time in the friend zone than they want to. However, I think for me, I was able to identify that my time in the friend zone more like self was more like self versus people putting me in the friend zone in a purposeful way. I think when I ended up in the friend zone at others' hands, I don't think they were intentionally being harmful. There were a couple people who were, and that'll be another podcast. But for the most part, I think people were telling me that they enjoyed the friendship. They enjoyed the benefits of us being friends. They enjoyed the comfort that they experienced, the safety that they experienced being my friend. And I have learned to accept that now. I have learned to accept that relationships might not always look the way that I initially envisioned them, and that I'm open to them changing and growing and shifting and shape throughout the time that that relationship is active in my life. And I'm also okay with the fact that along the way, I may have feelings that occur for people that I'm friends with, and that I could envision them being more in my life. And I take those feelings and I examine them, and I decide that I'm grateful and thankful that I do have the friendship, and that maybe this is a person that I need to verbalize the things that I'm seeing about them that attract me to them. Everybody likes to hear about the qualities that make them a good person and how people observe that and see that in them. So I've committed to myself and my friends to make sure that I'm sharing that with them. I'm giving them their kudos. I'm giving them their praise. I'm not just keeping those thoughts to myself and secretly thinking about them. I'm sharing them. Finally, me coming to a space of radical acceptance of who I am as a person, and understanding and valuing my self-worth, and making sure that I am carrying myself in a way that pleases and satisfies me first and foremost, has definitely helped me in not feeling like I am relegated to the friend zone. I realize that there's space for me wherever I choose to show up. And if it's in the friend space, great. If it's in another space, that's great too. But wherever I go, I am accepting of who I am, how I carry myself, and finally, how I love myself. Thank you for listening to today's episode. As we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced the friend zone? What was it like for you? Share your personal stories, insights, and challenges with us at table412023@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Table41Podcast for behind-the-scenes updates and inspiration. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Table41 Podcast, where you'll find video snippets from all of our episodes. Remember, you aren't alone in your experiences, and I hope my podcast is one that helps to normalize as well as let you know that though you may struggle, you're not on the journey alone.